Hello friends. It's a cloudy day here in Bali, Canggu. Quite beautiful though. I love when it's like this. No people. A storm is coming. Well, hardly any people. Look at that, it's so beautiful. I was just talking to a friend of mine, a drummer back in New York, and he's moaning and groaning about how he didn't have this gig or that gig, and how expensive it is over there. And I just sat there for about half an hour listening to the dream expire in his voice, which was, disturbing, but at the same time, nothing new. It was just, he's a pretty well-known drummer, and to have him talk like that was a bit disturbing. Now, of course, I don't give a rat's ass about playing with whoever or being in New York, but some people still have that thing where they gotta be in New York and they gotta, do this gig or that gig. Man, it's become so ridiculous at this point, and so not reality at this point that, it's a bummer to hear that people are still holding on to that. I was actually talking about this with my buddy Pat Petrillo. He's also a New York drummer, and he agrees with me. He says the same thing. That whole thing, that thing that doesn't exist. I'm out here, by the way, doing some photography on this beautiful day. That whole thing doesn't exist anymore. Sessions, whatever. And I think the majority of people are well aware of what's going on. Look at this beautiful view here. So awesome. I think the majority of players are well aware of what's going on. Now, how you handle it is very important, because you can either let it destroy your soul and your playing, or you can be innovative and adapt to the times, like many players are doing. Still, there's that old school of players that say, that are against, of all things, self-promotion. They consider it self-promotion. It's so distasteful, self-promotion. Whoa. They find it so distasteful to do YouTube because it's somehow self-aggrandizement. Something I don't understand at all, because it's just that those times like they want to be in, it's just gone. And YouTube is a fantastic way to let people know about your stuff, about your music or your thoughts. I mean, especially if you want to play out, if you want people to know you, the real you, not some manufactured persona. What are they getting when they hear you talk about music, about life? When they go hear you play, it's like a different story, because they know your background, they know something about you, and they can maybe hear, look at this, they can hear all the influences you have and all your travels around the world and the things you've done. They can hear all of that in your music, which takes your music to another level, I think. From experience, the experience of it, not from playing. Well, playing level is another endeavor, but for the audience, when they feel that they can somehow connect with you on different levels, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool, I think. I hate when people are behind me. I still can't get over that. I'm concentrated. You know what I need? I need to a device to record that has a screen on the front so I can see it. I'm recording with my iPhone, and obviously there's no screen on the front of it. So I have to invest in something with a blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I love it when it's like this. For photography, by the way, it's also awesome. Wow, look at that. So cool. So I think there's solutions, you know, to this issue. What are the solutions? Actually, I was talking to another buddy of mine, Jojo Mayer, about this many years ago in New York. And we were talking about this many years ago already, maybe 15 frickin' years ago, maybe more, about all this stuff. And he said something very profound. You know, he said, there comes a point where you just have to be happy with what you have. You have to be happy with what you have. Okay? You can strive for more, but you have to be happy with what you have. I think that's a very important point. And sometimes we don't see what we have right in front of us. And you can start by thinking about just being able to play drums. To have that in your life, it's amazing. To have drums in your life, that's absolutely fucking amazing, right? If you know how to guide your career and do the best with your drumming, you can have a very good life. Okay, you might not be a millionaire or whatever. You might not even be rich. But you're rich, very rich, inside. This is the treacherous walkway here. I have to put on my sandals for this because there's so many rocks here. I always get killed. Oh! Damn. Okay, hang on. Time for rethinking this. Hang on. Okay, we're going to take the treacherous walk here. Hope my microphone's still on. I got to cross this quickly before the tide, the waves get me. Waves. Okay, mellow so far. I made it. All right, made it. Now, we are at this point again where the people watch the sunset. This is called Sunset Point here. Not going to be, well, it could be very interesting actually. Whoa, whoa, the water's coming up to here, man. Jeez. Hi. Hi. People watching the sunset. I never stay in this area because just too many people, so I prefer to go over there. Hi. Hi. I prefer the other side. There's less people because, you know, as you guys know, I'm a very antisocial. I don't think I picked up many social skills all those decades as a kid in a small room playing drums. So let's get to the other side here. Corn. I stay away from corn because it's all probably GMO. Oh, thank you very much for that. Thanks. This is the side, for some reason, where all the Asian people hang out for whatever reason. I don't know. All right. Now it's time to issue the shoes again. It's safer to walk without shoes here. You gotta pick your path. Try to avoid the slippery bits. There'll be a nasty fall on these rocks because these rocks are really pointy. Anyway, I'm gonna go past this club really fast because they have stupid music all the time. Okay, we passed the horrible club. I hope the mic is not picking up any of that music. So I'm gonna walk along the beach again. Look at this beach. Nobody here. So great. I love this. Usually this is completely packed with people, okay? Completely packed. But since there's a storm, nobody's here. I love, man, this is so beautiful right now. So great. As I was saying, you have to be happy with what you got. And sometimes you just gotta look at what you got carefully. You have drums in your life, that's a freaking blessing. I wish I could go back in time to my younger self and say, you know, you are so blessed to be a musician, to understand music, and to be able to live from music. You don't know what a blessing that is. It's the dream of so many. And even though there's hardships, and a lot of hardships probably, ups and downs, people go through ups and downs even if they're millionaires and stuff. So yeah, the economic issues can be crushing sometimes, but you just have to find a way. You have to find a way and make it happen, all right? To be happy with what you have is very important. And that's something I've come to terms with only a short while ago, you know, maybe 10 years ago, you know, before I started living a lot in Asia. And it's probably has to do with, oh my God, somebody's burning wood over here, so I'm gonna go past it. It probably has to do with being in Asia, where, you know, I see so many different levels of people. Here in Bali, there's just poverty, like there's some brutal poverty. You see it and you just like, Jesus Christ. Even a restaurant worker, you know, they make like $300 a month, work their ass off for so little money. Of course, you know, the prices are kind of adjusted for them, but still, how can you possibly get ahead with that? You know, I've seen construction workers working their asses off for so little money, and you just grab these motorcycle taxi guys working 12, 15 hours. Oh my God. So it's expensive to be a drummer too, you know. You need gear, you need a lot of gear, you need to store your shit, you need a practice room, so many factors. But like in any business, there's going to be expenses. So you just have to figure that out and then get to the part where you can somehow make a living. And I think social media, especially YouTube, is a big part of that now. It's not self-promotion. You can't look at it that way. It's another medium for your music in the end. I have a lot of music up here, a lot of music. And it's a way for people to get to know my stuff and buy my stuff if they like it. I'm never giving my stuff to a record company, much less Spotify. Fucking piece of shit platform, you know, never in a million years am I giving my stuff to that. So the moral of the story, to be happy with what you've got. I'm so happy to be able to live in Bali. I play with who I want. Now, if I probably hadn't, you know, made my mark in this world, maybe I'd be a little more freaked out. Of course, you know, the players here that have never been to New York and have never played anywhere outside of a few places in Asia, they say they feel trapped here. they feel trapped and they can never advance, well, that's another story. But there are ways to do things. I think a lot of cats are just lazy also. Lazy, and they have no hope, and they give up somehow. They give up inside. So anyway, the moral of the story, be happy with what you have. Just the fact that you're a musician on this planet is amazing. And look around you, look at the beautiful things around you. And be grateful because, man, life is short. Life is so short. Pretty soon, I'm not going to be here anymore. For that matter, neither will you, whoever is watching this, even if you're 20 years old now. We're here for a very short time. Enjoy. Stay strong. All right. Peace out, everybody. Bye from Bali.